Yes, no, and welcome back to episode 77 of the Top Loaded podcast. And first of all, we'd like to say a big commemorations to the Lionesses for a fantastic run in the World Cup. It was an absolute joy to watch the whole World Cup. And sadly, a second place is still the best achievement ever for the Lionesses, but also the first final since 1966. So after the Euro success last year, they're absolutely smashing all targets. So congratulations for them for current runners up, and obviously well done to Spain for winning the Women's World Cup. But most importantly, Harry, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. Good. So obviously it was a sad morning yesterday, obviously to see the Lionesses lose, but massive achievement to get to the World Cup final. You said the third time since obviously the 96 victory. But yeah, it was really unfortunate. I mean, Spain, I think we can agree Spain were the better team. A few questionable decisions by Serena in the at half time. But they won the Euros last year, and said to get to the World Cup final this year is incredible. So yeah, on to the next one.
And obviously, it gives us a perfect interlude. And I think Tops have planned this one by a country mile very well. That this Wednesday is the release of Women's Chrome. Obviously, now we've had it confirmed that Women's Blasters will be in game as well at the £25 mark, which is fantastic to see women's products on the shelves. Um, Obviously, before we talk about other products which are coming out as well, obviously we've got Merlin Chrome come out last week, so we're giving a bit of a review of that. Also looking forward to Stadium Chrome, but it's a perfect timing for Tops to be bringing out women's chrome, I would say, this Wednesday. Also, for people who are keeping up to date, the women's products, the Don Ross World Cup set has been delayed yet again to the end of September. So we're now looking at 29th of September release, which is a big shame because we was hoping it would come out for the end of the World Cup, but that has been pushed back another 5 to 6 weeks at the moment. So hopefully that set does come out. But it's going to be quite intriguing to see this Wednesday and the coming weeks with the women's chrome that we're just getting off the back of the World Cup. So there's a hype of the World Cup going around that we might actually do a bit better than what it had done in previous years, last year, because it was the only other release. But it's going to be quite intriguing to see how it sells, and especially some of the better players from the World Cup, how their cards do sell.
Yeah, definitely. I think I know you are very excited, obviously, about Women's Chrome coming out on Wednesday, and I think like I said to you, I think I said it last week. We've obviously the first year Women's Chrome being the real only niche Women's Chrome set out there. You see any of them in a display cabinet, and they are going like that. So to have another set released, obviously, it's probably going to be quite beneficial for the women's hobby in terms of a bit more liquid stock. You're going to have two sets to fight, and then also you've got going to have Don Russ then obviously in 6 weeks time. So I think they have timed it very well. Also with the World Cup ending yesterday, and then the release of Women's Chrome on Wednesday. I've said it a million times. Particularly the women's Chrome is also going to be really good to see. So I'm interested to see how well that will sell in game. I know you had a fun little story about the Merlin releasing game that I'm sure we'll get onto and later on in the episode. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I said I did a mare with Merlin. I thought my game store was opening at 9 o'clock. Turns out it shut 3 years ago, and Google said it opened. And then turns out there's actually a game store around the corner from my work that I had no idea about in Sports Direct. So I remember bugged myself right off walking to town and seeing that the game store was shut. It wasn't shut, it was closed down. There was no game there, it was barricaded up. So I was like, yeah, sounds. But yeah, so I said I'm really looking forward to seeing obviously Women's Chrome in Blasters in game. Hopefully attend the right game store this time around to pick some of the blasters up. But yeah, like I said, I think they've timed it really well. And I said off the back of that, be interested to see how, just said how well the players do. Obviously, a lot of the Spanish players, I'm sure, Olga, obviously Patelis, to obviously the big names, obviously the winning goal scorer and obviously the Ballon d'Or winner. Obviously, more importantly, the players in Chrome. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Should be a good set. Hopefully it can start split a bit of competition on the first year Women's Chrome. I know we've got a lot of nice new parallels and dual autos coming into this year's Women's Chrome. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a good release.
Yeah, I think, like we say, we're thinking it's going to be a similar release to the Merlin Chrome Blasters in terms of hopefully it's one numbered per box. Chance of autos, even though it's a bit more scarce, but obviously you get the Aqua Prisms as well. But like we say, there is a nice checklist. Obviously, there's some big rookies. I think the biggest chase on the rookie front is probably going to be Pararendo, the young 19-year-old Spain striker who started yesterday, who won Young Player of the tournament. She's probably going to be the big rookie to chase in this set. But then also, like obviously, the likes of Bonmati obviously come off, and it's a shame really because some of the England women's players will not be in the set. There's no Russo, obviously, Mary Earps, just because they were at Man United last year and they didn't qualify into the late stage of the Champions League, and this is their first campaign. So obviously, Russo hopefully be an Arsenal kit next year in the set. But like you say, what they've done this year is they've kind of tailored it a bit more around the bigger teams. They've actually picked up the Olympique Lyonnais license this year, which is absolutely fantastic. So you're seeing quite a few big players enter the set. Obviously, Wendy Renard, Hegerberg, the former Ballon d'Or winner, but then also the likes of Megan Rapinoe, Lindsay Horan, obviously for the US women's national team, who will be in the set for Lyon. So it's going to be a very good release. I think the hype is slowly building. Now seeing some of the breaks getting listed up, it should be a fun week this week. Not for my bank account, but a fun week for the hobby. But like I say, Wednesday morning, I will be at my local game. Hopefully, they will have them in. Even if it's just one, I'll have that, and I've no doubt it'll be ripped by the time I even get back onto the train. But no, it should be fun, and obviously, we'll when to check this out, and obviously I'll head over to Cardboard Connections if anyone wants to see that. But obviously, turn our attentions now to a product that actually did release last week, and I think Merlin Chrome is one of them releases that is always penciled in on people's calendars, so to speak. That is a very big release. People really like collecting it, obviously heading down to the local game. But I really feel like it's hit mixed emotions this set. Personally, I have, even though I am not as interested in men's cards as I was this time last year for the last Merlin Chrome release. Obviously, Arsenal are back in Merlin Chrome this year. I'm not a massive fan of it. But before I talk about the reason why I don't like it, H, how do you? Obviously, it's still one of the nicest sets. It's a cheaper import that if you want to buy blasters. But how do you feel just looking at the set and looking at everything that's coming out so far? Are you a fan of it, or is it a case of, as I always say to people, everyone always looks back on like the first set of a certain product and then they always compare it to that. And the first Merlin release was so strong that it's one of them. Can they really ever top it?
It's a bit of a weird one. I thought the card designs were really weird. When I saw a couple of the few stories on Instagram and stuff, I wasn't a big fan. I was like, it looks a bit weird. And also, you're going to get onto your part of why you weren't the biggest fan of it, and I will wholeheartedly agree with that. So I'll let you get onto that subject in a minute. But I just thought the whole card design was just a little bit weird. I thought it almost was a little bit squished and a bit sort of like, I don't know. It just looked really weird considering what I know we always compare previous years and how much the card designs look better previous years, but I'm not a big fan of this Merlin. I really am not. I thought the card designs just look really odd. I can't pinpoint exactly what it is or what it is that looks weird. And I'm said you'll get onto your point, which obviously probably is a defining factor. But yeah, for me, I just don't know. I wasn't a big fan, and pretty. I didn't actually went to the wrong game store because a bit of a waste of money, really. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was a bit of a weird design, bit of a weird look. I can't say I was particularly sold on it, and yeah, it's just a bit of a weird one. I can't quite figure it out, but yeah, I can't say I was the biggest fan of it.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't know why it always is a bit of a bugbear, but when we use Topps Chrome, it's always the front of the card is so clean. It always is so clean. I have this one here, for example. This is obviously Viviana Mida. The front is so clean. The chrome just shines. And obviously, what they've done this year is they're putting the numbering of the card on the front of the card. And for me personally, I know people will come back with the counter argument. It's been on the front for other releases, for example, Merlin Heritage 95 and all of them ones numberings on the front. Or you look at Panini, you're looking at impeccable numberings on the front. But for Chrome, I think it just takes away that cleanliness of the actual look of the card with the numbering on the front. Our good friend LGO opened a few blasters. He had hit a lovely Hernan Crespo auto, and it kind of just didn't look right where the auto was of it. It was squished in underneath the actual autograph, and you couldn't really see the numbering, but you could see the numbering, and it just takes away, I feel like, from the actual design of the card, sadly. And I don't know reason is because I've seen this in a lot more Topps products, not just soccer, but baseball especially. They've been doing the same thing. So I don't know if it's a new thing they're slowly working towards. So here's me praying that come Wednesday, when Women's Chrome comes out, that the numbering is on the back of the cards, not on the front. But I don't know why, but I don't know. I know you're going to agree here, but it just looks so much cleaner when it's just the pure chrome on the front. And then you turn it over and you can see the numbering. That's just personally how I'd. People out there might like seeing the numbering on the front, especially if it's a lower print card. But for some reason, it just takes away that cleanliness, the purity of the card, that having that stamping on the front, and not, probably could lead to potential more defects as well. I'm guessing maybe stamping it on the front, you might get some more damage. But how do you see it? You're going in agreement that it just takes away that bit of cleanliness about the card. It's just not as crisp.
Yeah, definitely. I think, we sort of associate numbering on the front with like score, or the more premium, like you're impeccable, where we see a lot of number on the front of the cards. But stuff like Chrome, stuff like Merlin, stuff like any of the above, like Don Russ, the numbering looks so much better on the back. I just don't understand why they tried, because the numbering looks squished. The numbering looks like they just squished the numbers all together in a corner and chucked it on. Yeah, that'll do. Like you said, obviously, if the numbers like to 5, 1 of 1, like I can get on board with the numbering being on the front, particularly like 1 of 1, for example. But it's just a bit of a weird one to have like a number to 299 stamped in the top left hand corner. Like it just looks a bit like someone just stuck a bicycle. Would have to leave it out for the rest of the now. But I think for me, yeah, you're spot on. I think for me that's probably the biggest odd looking part of the card, is that the numbers are squished into the top corner. From my recollection, I don't think they've done that on any Merlin prior to this one. So it's like, why all of a sudden is the numbering been stuck on the front of the cards? So yeah, I think probably in agreement there that that's the biggest, inconvenience or sort of disappointment about Merlin, is that they've stuck the number on the front for some random reason. So some people might like it. I said if it's low numbered, obviously it makes sense, but yeah, it's just not a biggest. Like I said, impeccable call, immaculate call, but for Merlin, nah, it's a bit.
Yeah, I think like obviously we're just picking it apart a little bit, and obviously as we say, everyone's unique in their own view, and a lot of people out there probably will really like the release, but it feels like, especially what I've seen so far in the resale market, that it's definitely had an effect. But it's natural that this is their third Merlin Chrome now, I believe. Yeah, third Merlin Chrome now. So everyone is going to get that. But obviously, if you hit a nice guy Nacho or someone like that, you're still going to get top dollar. But on average, the cars will be cheaper every single year. Don't get me wrong, there's some really nice autos in the set, some really nice cars to collect. But sadly, from our perspective, I feel like it's just lacked that little bit of like Merlin heritage class. That you look at that first Merlin and there was kind of some sort of theme to it. Like, all right, you can see the Merlin vibes with it. That you can see part of the design that they've taken from the original sets, obviously, when Merlin was a standalone sticker set back in the 90s and early thousands. But this one kind of just to me, it's just a design that they've printed out. I actually have an example, funny enough, right next to me of this was the first Merlin Chrome. And you can see it was like the retro design of Merlin. They've copied it from the stickers, obviously tailored it a little bit, but it worked very well. Whereas now you look at this one and it's just a chrome set. It's not unique. It's a shame because it's a fantastic set. Like we say, it'll still sell very well. But obviously, getting on to a story that I see on Instagram, which was quite funny. Obviously, a lot of people did head down to their local game store last Wednesday on release. I can't remember who it was, but if you are listening, it's great that we put the story out. So the guy was in game. There was literally 2 people in the queue, guy in front of him, and he's waiting there to get blasters. And the guy at the front goes, "Oh, have you got the Merlin blasters?" And go, "Yeah, we've got how many do you want?" And the guy goes, "How many have you got?" So they've got 20 in stock, which is a decent quantity for a game store to have. And the guy in front goes, "I'll take all 20 then." And they sold him all 20. So that was quite intriguing to hear that some games do not have a restriction on the amount. I know my local game had a restriction at 4, I believe it was. But you would be fuming, wouldn't you, H, if you was in the queue and the geezer in front of you spent, what, 700 quid on blasters and you didn't even get one?
Oh mate, I'd be livid if you're literally second in the queue and the guy in front of you has literally bought every single one. I'd probably said something. I'd be like, "Listen, mate, come on, you got a whole queue of here, one of them. You taking all 20." Um, I know it's like, what was it first or that, same old bollocks, but sort of like really, like you bought all 20. More so game for not putting a restriction on it. Why is it that some game stores have a restriction, some game stores don't? But yeah, you'd be fuming, wouldn't you? Second in the queue, you think, oh, cool, I'm gonna get I'll get a good my share of boxes or whatever, and the guy in front of you buys every single one.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd be
So,
fuming.
oh,
Um,
yeah, 100%.
go on.
I could only imagine. Imagine if they only had like 5 blasters in game this Wednesday, and I've got in there for a women's one. The guy in front takes 5. I'm
I
not
would
letting him
love to
leave.
be a fly on the wall in that situation.
Not letting him leave. No, not fucking leaving.
I dread
Not
to
fucking
think
leaving.
what you do, Ron.
I do that. No, no, mate. No, Chief. This ain't it. Please give me one. Give me one. Give me one. Need one.
I'll pay you double
I'll just
retail. I'll pay
follow
you
him.
double retail.
Yeah, I'll just follow him. I'll just keep following him until he gets me one. But like I say, it's a shame that it'd be nice there's some sort of cohesion across all the stores. If it was like if they said literally on the day of it, right, we're maxing it to 2 per person, fine. And then if they said after release day, any left, then we can sell as many as you want. Makes plenty of sense that would be. And I think maybe that's something they'll learn going forward. Maybe not even 2, that's not fair. Probably 5. But then obviously it depends on the quantity levels per store because some probably will have 20, some might even only have 5. So it's like I would say, it's one of them. It's good to see that they've sold very well. Led to believe they didn't sell out in the first day like the last release. I believe there's some game stores that still have some available. So if you are looking for them and you are going past the game, do have a look in there because some of them will still have the blasters. And obviously, if you head in there this week, you might be able to pick up a women's blaster as well. But obviously now we turn our attentions to a set that you've had circled in your diary for quite a while. So as of recording this, obviously it's Monday the 21st. As at the moment, Stadium Club Chrome is due out on the 28th, which is another fantastic set. They rather than the blaster set up for Merlin and Women's Chrome, they normally have megas, which are normally only available in Target, Walmart, and all that. But hopefully, you never know. But obviously, we're still awaiting the checklist for this one. It's probably going to be out, I'm guessing, Friday, Saturday this week. But obviously, the main image of the promo, so to speak, was a Merton Ardent card. So, going to be another good release for that one. So, I'll let you take it away. That how much are you hoping that the numbering is on the back of the cards?
I mean, yeah, numbering needs to be in the back of the cards. I mean, Christ. But yeah, I think I've always to see a Club Chrome back for Premier League. But having Arsenal back in Club Chrome obviously is a massive W. And I've always said that Club Chrome has some of the nicest imagery. I think we've seen that previous years with the likes of Conrad Lima in the go kart, and there was that I can't remember the French player's name, obviously where he's riding his bike. I just think the actual imagery is so in Club Chrome, and we saw the preview of the Erdegaard card, and for me it's like that's just going to be every Arsenal collector's chase. So yeah, you bet I'll be entering a lot of breaks into Club Chrome, but I think the imagery for me is so much nicer in Club Chrome, and whether you want to agree with me, anyone listening to this, Ronnie, whatever, but I think for me, Club Chrome, imagine having out a Saka card of him on a unicorn or whatever, like obviously at St George's Park, and it's one of them things where it's like the imagery just makes the cards so much nicer. Like for me, that go kart card from Conrad Line, I mean, when did you ever see that before? A footballer in a go kart on a Club Chrome card. So yeah, I'll 100% be chasing that. Hopefully, obviously, the other imagery for the Arsenal players is still just as good. Which that'll be interesting to see what they all look like. So I will definitely be entering into my fair share of Arsenal spots in Club Chrome. But for me, the imagery, particularly in previous years, again, has been incredible. So hopefully they continue that up with this release next week.
I think anyone would appreciate the imagery used on Stadium Club Chrome. I think it's obviously everyone likes it a bit different. Obviously, you get the standard ones in every other set of either the players on the ball or they're yelling for the ball. It's always very profile-y type of pictures that when they have these different imagery on Stadium Club Chrome, it's so nice. Like we say, there's been so many nice images down the years on the set. I even remember a Neymar one where he's got his thumbs up, and it was obviously after the passing of Maradona, and he's got the Maradona t-shirt on. It was a fantastic looking card, and you get that at Ronaldo. I think he was running in front of when he was at Old Trafford, running in front of the crowd celebrating. Like you get these really nice designs, and what I actually like about the cards, they're not always look like they actually some of them look like artwork. How nice the actual imagery of them is. These like actual wallpaper worthy images that they've actually put onto the cards. So like I was saying, it's always interesting to see what they have. I know obviously in the past as well, it's a bit like Merlin Chrome. They have rookie variations as well, and some of them are unbelievable. I know I think one of my best variations they've ever done in any set was the Jude Bellingham one, where for his auto, he's pulling his mouth apart and smiling, look like the
Yeah.
Joker out of Batman. It's one of the best card variations ever. One of the nicest ones, and obviously goes for a fair penny as well because it is such a good one. So, like I say, it's intriguing to see what they do. Obviously, the Champions League teams will get a bigger checklist, I'm guessing, between the 6 and 8 players per team area. And obviously, then the Europa League Conference League would be in the area of 3 to 5 players. Obviously, autos galore in that set, like they'd love to do at tops at the moment. And obviously, no doubt it will be a bigger print run as well. Probably ended up in the 399 area, similar to Merlin, same as Chrome. But no, let's say it's going to be a fantastic release, that one. And we know when it's going to be a big release is when H actually thinks about buying into breaks, because he's not a break person. But when the set does come out with potential big cards in it,
I haven't had a break probably since I started the hobby.
yeah. So that's going to be very intriguing to see, like what the makeup of the boxes are. Obviously, how easy it is, how hard it is to hit certain things. And obviously, it's one of them that obviously we'll talk about it a lot more next week. Hopefully, if it does come out on release day, that we can then talk about the checklist a bit more. We can talk about the actual setup of the cards, how they look. But even we passed over it slightly, but obviously Merlin Chrome, I think the one person in particular to mention who's on the checklist and has been a fantastic addition, who wasn't in Chrome, was the Gula. Obviously, the Real Madrid Turkish wonder kid, sadly injured at the moment. Obviously, has his autos for Fenerbahce and base cards in there. So that was his first rookie as well. So it's good to see that there was adding some new names and faces to the set. So hopefully, I think that's what everyone wants. They just don't want the same checklist across all the Chromes. You don't want the same 5, 6 players. All right, no doubt for Arsenal, Man U, and all these teams, it will be pretty much similar. You're going to get Saka, you're going to get Martinelli. For Man U, you're going to get Rashford, you're going to get Garnacho. But hopefully change it up a bit for Stadium Club Chrome, which would be fantastic. But like we say, it's going to be.
There's a couple more pictures out on the previews on Cardboard Connection. Have you seen? I don't know if you saw like the Kaka, like I belong to Jesus. Yeah. You've got like the Neymar, obviously shushing. I mean, you've got the one of Modric holding the trophy there.
It's stunning.
And I think you've got the dual auto as well of Haaland De Bruyne. Like it's just they look so nice.
Yeah, it's in my eyes, it's one of the best. I actually prefer Stadium Club Chrome. I know Harry does as well. I prefer Stadium Club Chrome to normal Chrome, especially the men's, just because I like the imagery on it. I like the difference in the imagery. Hopefully, that's the thing. Could, like for me personally, just seeing iconic play like we said there with Kaka and Mbappe, you hopefully is doing like his celebration. Yeah. Messi's, for example, you just want them different imagery that captures it, like Vinicius, for example. I know in the previous one he was like pointing up when he was celebrating, but there's so many iconic moments that happen that could be captured within the cards. And like even people like Muller and stuff like that, because they're up for a joke, no doubt you could do funny imagery, especially if you get the autos. You can capture players' emotions, and like, I think, like I say, it's going to be very intriguing to see the actual imagery on it. Hopefully, like we say, it'll all come out on time and we don't get another delay. But it seems like Tops have got their time about right at the moment, which is rather intriguing. And obviously, turning our attention very, very briefly to the American side. Obviously, there was a big release for the collegiate stuff in American football, but obviously now people are realizing that Fanatics have bought the rights to 3 of the top players in the draft. So it's a bit of a shame that they won't be in sets this year. They'll only be in Fanatics and Tops products. For in comparison to people who don't really watch the NFL, for example, imagine if Garnacho had rights with Tops and then he couldn't be in any of the Panini set. It's very similar to that. It's a big shame that now Fanatics are buying the rights of the obviously exclusivity deals to these players, and Panini have nothing to stand on. They can't do anything at the moment. Can't put them in the set. So you're missing 3 of the top rookies, not even in the set. So it's going to be a massive effect on the NFL prices when they do come out. I think one of them is Bryce Young, obviously, who went right at the top of the draft. But like we say, American sports are slowly coming back now. NFL preseason is in full swing and the season starts very soon, similar to the NBA as well. So we'll be keeping you across all of their releases and everything like that when they do start rolling off the conveyor belt. And trust me, for people who don't watch American sports, their releases do roll off the conveyor belt. They have about 50 different releases a year. So it'll be honestly, there's some days where 3 products come out on the same day and it's just absolutely carnage. But like I say, it's going to be quite good. And obviously turning our attention now away from the products, and it's been obviously quiet since London Card Show. Obviously pickups have been a bit quieter. I think this time of year you always get a bit of a lull when a lot of people are away on holiday and obviously people getting ready back for kids to start schools again. But like we said, we've spoke about it before, but it's in a good possession of hobby. It seems like a lot of people are talking to each other. Like it seems like a big of a hobby at the moment. But is there anything in particular that, obviously between this and obviously like I said, you've had your eye on potentially buying, or is it holding fire on that wallet and trying to keep the funds in shape to attack Stadium Club Chrome like your top bowler in the transfer market?
It's a quite good accurate representation. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've had my eye on. There is a Saliba Pink Wave rookie ticket from Chronicles, number to 19. That I think I'm gonna secure the deal after we finish the podcast. There's that. There's a couple of Ben Whites that I've been to 15 red stars to 8 first of the line blue shimmer, Tiger, like a little bundle. So might try and see if I can sort that out. I think Ben White's someone that I really want to try and start collecting more of. I know there's a really nice cracked ice from I think it's Illusions from Chronicles as well, that I think's up on eBay, that I might have a little look at as well. But yeah, for me, I think their majority, the sort of few culprits that I've been looking at. Otherwise, yeah, it will be all eyes on Club Chrome next week when that gets released and buying into the Arsenal spot. So if any breakers are listening, give me a shout, because I will be taking every Arsenal spot I can get my hands on. Which is probably have a stack of base cards like this big with all the same ones that I've just got so many of. But as I said, I'm really looking forward to Club Chrome. The first sort of set I've actually been like, you know what, I actually want to enter a fair amount of breaks in this. But otherwise, yeah, I think yeah, but definitely that Pink Wave rookie ticket from Saliba. And potentially there's Ben White card as well. What about you?
No, I placed myself on transfer embargo until this Wednesday. Saying that, I have been looking. There's a few original women's Chrome stuff ending this week, which I'll be trying to buy. Which I am not giving anyone idea what it is or who it is, because it's a card that I've been trying to secure for about 18 months now. Well, since the last release. So hopefully try and pick that one up. But like I say, especially now, there'll be a lot more flooded market for the women's cards, which will be absolutely fantastic. So no doubt once Wednesday comes around, the attention is going to turn to trying to secure one of the Stina Blackstenius and Viviana Miedemar dual autos and slowly working towards the set. Done it for the last Chrome, one of every card in terms of like a numbered version of every card. I try and go for the base cards, and then all the inserts, and then autos. So even though two out of 3 autos for Arsenal, as you can see over me, Beth Miedemar are returning. The only new one is Stenius for us. So it's going to be quite intriguing just to pick up a few more of them. Hopefully pick up some more of the 21-22 women's Chrome. And obviously I am hoping to pick up a blaster or 2 this Wednesday, which will be fun. And if I do, you'll see the results of them on my Instagram. We'll see our trading cards, which would be fun. Hopefully hit at least one parallel of Arsenal would be fantastic. But like I say, it's exciting times now. Obviously, Premier League season, and now we're in the second week of it. As of recording it, it's Palace Arsenal tonight. And I feel like you're going to slowly see it, that Champions League draws coming up in next Friday. Well, not this Friday, coming next Friday. So Champions League is around the corner in about 3 weeks, and that's when I really see the hobby starts kicking back in with people buying and selling on good performances. So, like I say, it's intriguing, and obviously transfer window as well. Still got a few weeks left to run, which could be some very interesting business to be done in that. Some big names still to potentially move, which could affect the hobby as well. So it's slowly simmering. I would say that obviously there's been quite a few injuries so far, which is sad to see. Obviously, De Bruyne are out for 4 months. Julian Timber's out for 6 to 8 months. You've got Tyrone Mings as well, just to name a few. So we've had a load of injuries. So it's going to be intriguing. Obviously now the hype is slowly building in the soccer world for the hobby with all the releases coming up, but also the season's kicking off. That it could be quite an intriguing time to follow prices yet again. And I think everyone loves to see random eBay sales at 11 o'clock at night when people on their Instagram because the person scored one goal in the Champions League.
Yeah, that's how I've always seen. It's great to see how much of a true reflection the actual real life football has on the hobby, and how much everyone goes crazy for someone that scores a hat trick in the Champions League, or someone can score a hat trick. I'm sure if Mudryk was to start bagging in goals left, right, and centre, his prices would be going to on Instagram. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing obviously what next weekend has in store for your new star or whatever's going to happen. So obviously, yeah, disappointing to see obviously a lot of injuries already within the first 2 weeks. People ruled out for a good couple of months, or if not half the season. So yeah, I said obviously interesting to see what's going to happen. And obviously the big upset yesterday, obviously West Ham beating Chelsea. It's still in the mud pretty much, and no matter how much players they've signed, how much money they've spent. 1 point from the first two games is just Chelsea for you. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to it. Season's back in full swing now. Games back on every weekend. Match days back on a Saturday night. What more could you want?
Yeah, now we have excuses when people say, "Do you want to do this?" No, football's on. It's perfect part of the year for me. I don't have to see anyone, don't have to do anything apart from having to travel to South London on a Monday night, which is always fun and games. But like we say, it's by the time this episode rolls around next week, hopefully we've got Stadium Club Chrome, we've got Women's Chrome as well, but then also we hopefully have some more news about some potential upcoming releases and everything else in between. But like we say, from me and Harry, obviously, thank you yet again for the continued support. Obviously, we have got some few guests lined up in the near future, which are going to be great to bring to you. A wide range of stuff, and obviously, always looking out for other people to approach to get on the podcast and sort stuff out with. So, as we say, thank you ever so much for joining us. Obviously, now the Women's World Cup is over. I've gained my sleep schedule slightly of not having to wake up at 6 a.m. on every morning, every 3 times, 4 times a week. But like we say, now it's all attention's focused to the Premier League, Champions League, and all the other leagues around the world. So, in the words of a certain Inter Miami player, obviously, them winning the League Cup and Messi winning another trophy is kind of the most significant and most important person in the history of football. 44 trophies now and counting. Hope everyone out there is buying, selling, trading, and all that good jazz. But most importantly, happy hobbying and good night.